When I was a sophomore at Oral Roberts University, I worked on the television crew, and so we would be called various times to do tapings, and we would usually tape 6 or 8 shows together at one time and go over to the studio. And one Thursday evening, I got a call at 9 o'clock that we were going to be doing a special taping the next morning in the president's dining room, and that the president, Oral Roberts, had a message on his heart and he wanted to share it. And there was going to be a skeleton crew there. There were going to be 3 camera people and 2 grips, and I was one of the grips. And when we arrived at the station, or at the studio, the cafeteria that next morning, I remember things being a little bit unsettled, but not unusual. I mean, there was work to be done, and we're setting up the cameras and getting things ready, and Oral came in and Evelyn came in, and they smiled, and they said, "How are you?" And very gracious, and then they sat on the couch. And how many of you remember Oral Roberts? You remember? Okay, good. Now you're really dating yourselves, okay? You know. And you remember how he always began his program, "Something good is going to happen to you." And he was known for preaching that God is a good God. And that morning, I'll never forget, he said, "Hello, partners," he said, "and hello, friends. We are, if there's anything that people know about us, is that we like to proclaim good news about God. And when we come to you, we always begin our program with something good is going to happen to you. And that's the way we want to begin the telecast today. Something good is going to happen to you. And we also want to make that faith proclamation that God is a good God. And to know that from the very core of our being. But we also need to tell you that we faced a tragic event in the last 24 hours. Our eldest daughter and her husband were killed in a plane crash, leaving their 3 children. And their bodies were scattered across the Kansas wheat field. And while we don't understand it, and while we grieve from the very core of our beings, we felt it was important today to come to you and say, something good is going to happen to you. And God is a good God. And I remember that day thinking to myself, their faith was proven to me. And whenever I waffle in my faith, or whenever I get into one of those little pity parties that I occasionally still do, can anyone relate? Raise a hand to the person next to you. Okay, no, just kidding. We all get there. We all suffer. But God brings us back to the memories of these things and recognize that no matter how much we suffer, we serve the God who said, "In this world you will have tribulation." But then he quickly added, "Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world."